Oh, happy Cyber Monday. I hope you all had an incredible weekend. That's right. I'm actually on this new walk desk. Let's see, this is the walk desk, what I call 4.0. This is my fourth version of the walk desk. Yes, it's ridiculous. I put up 6 monitors. I actually have a real mixing board over here. And that allows me to do things like this, which is I clock about 10,000 steps or more in a day, depending upon what's going on. So this is my first actual interview on this walk desk, and what a great interview to have with this gentleman. He presented at my conference. I was introduced to him by the one and only Sherry Prindle, and he's got an incredible life story, as well as he's doing some incredible things on virtual. Let's welcome to the stage the one and only Kellan Fluckiger. Kellan, what's going on?
Hey, well, thank you for being here. And what's going on is I'm in the presence of the masterful and wonderful John Chen and his audience. And I have the greatest of respect for who you are and what you do. And thank you for allowing me to be part of your world.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Kellan. Let's do a favor. I know a few people who I know missed my conference. How could they do that, Kellan? How could they miss this amazing conference?
You know what? I'll tell you a true thing. Every single person that I talked to in the months leading up to it, I showed them your book. I told them you were the coolest thing in terms of virtual meetings and Zoom and how to host and how to do stuff that I'd ever seen, and that you were a world-class dude in that thing. And I don't say that easy because Kellan, if you knew my backstory, I was literally one of 2 or 3 world-class this, that, and the other in my little narrow slice of the universe at one point. Yeah. So if I say to somebody, you know what, you're a world-class thing, that's not me blowing smoke. That's saying, dang, what a dude. And so I said that to every person and told them they needed to go and gave them the link. And I don't know how many did or didn't come because I didn't keep track of it. And I just gave them the regular link. I never worried about anything else. So I just absolutely mean all that. And I think you're great. I love what you do. I love how you do it. The inclusivity, the love, the compassion, the kindness, the way you help people learn. It's like, yeah, that.
Thank you so much, Kellan. And so let's talk about you for just a minute, which is some of my friends, of course, didn't see you or didn't get a chance to meet you. So tell a little bit about who you are and, of course, what you do.
I spent 30 years as an executive in the energy industry, and that's where I had the world-class stuff. From 1977 to 2007, testified before Congress a few times, had a contract with the late Queen of England, big C-level, C-suite positions in the US and Canada, blah, blah, blah. In 2007, and I made a lot of money and had a lot of positions and so forth. In 2007, I had a divine intervention that changed my life, because in addition to being hotshot, this, that, and the other, I was also miserable, struggled with depression, the imposter syndrome. I hated myself. I was in and out of rehab. I had 3 failed marriages and, you know, movie stuff, easy. And I've been offered the opportunity to make a movie a time or two and haven't done it yet. But so in the last 15 years, I have completely reinvented myself. I've written 18 books. They're all self-help books about meditation, about how to create results, about dying and coming back to life and meeting God and having conversations, stuff I never imagined would happen. So today, this year, from October 14th, last month, to next year, October 14th, my year goes then because it's my wife's birthday, and there's a whole story about that too. My commitment is to help 50 million people. Help them do what? Help them discover the gifts that they have, and then choose to use those gifts to serve. Because I found that when people discover their gifts and serve with them, they can create businesses, they can create money, they can fix their hearts and their lives and their loves. And so I don't do anything. Yes, I'm a coach. So I have a business, I'm a coach. I have clients all over the world and this, that, and the other, and I write books and I help people write books. But my mission is to help 50 million people this year to discover and to serve with their divine gifts.
So 50 million. Now, of course, you did all these amazing things, that you were in the tech industry. You have an amazing backstory. For those who do, just definitely check out his website, kellanfluckiger.com, or any of his books along the way. He's documented some of these things. Where did this touch 50 million people idea come from? And more importantly, how do you think you're actually going to do it?
So where it came from is last year, I declared, just came to me one day that I needed to help 10 million people. Near the end of the year, which was in September of 2020, September of this year, so about 3 or 4 months ago, I was doing that. And the doing of it means, like, I have a podcast and I have 700 and something episodes, and I interview cool people who are living that life of purpose, prosperity, and joy that they create by doing this, serving with their gifts. And I'm also on a lot of shows. And I was as a guest on someone's podcast called Waking Up with the Giants, who is a couple of guys who do this kind of stuff too. And they had me be on there. And we were talking about this, and we were talking about my goal, which then was 10 million. And one of the two hosts stopped me, like a moment of soberness. And he said, that number is too small. You've already reached that. In this hour, you have changed my life. And he was emotional. And he said, and I'm going to talk to hundreds of people this week. And so if you think about the ripple effect, you've already blown past your 10 million. That number is too small. So when the year expired, I just arbitrarily multiplied it by 5. Maybe I should have done 10, because somebody just last week said, well, what are you going to do when you get to 50? And I said, well, my intent is to blow by that. And they said, yeah, I would have expected Kellan to say that. So I don't know. It came because it needed to be bigger than 10, and it seemed like a worthy goal, and it let me create the series of live videos that I'm doing every day called Road to 50 Million. So if you follow my Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, you see every day I put up a short 10, 15-minute video about my experiences today on the road to 50 million. Now, how am I going to keep track of that? Well, I have a YouTube channel called Ultimate Life Formula. I have my podcast. I look at downloads. I look at people that I talk to. I'm on as many shows as I possibly can be, not yay me, but to tell you who you really are and to help you live into the truth that I know every one of you feel inside. And most of the time ignore, most of the time beat down, and you struggle with either imposter syndrome, not good enough, too late, wrong time, wrong season, fill in the blank. I've heard all those excuses. I said all those excuses. And so, this is a question of, if not now, when? Like, you don't have to quit your job, jump off a cliff and do everything. So build a ramp, say yes. I have a client right now that said, he said it in a really beautiful way. I'm going to rip his saying off. He said, I chase the maybes. I love that. I chase the maybes. And you know what that guy's going to do?
What does that mean? I chase the maybe. What does that mean?
He means maybe this will work.
Oh.
Maybe this will be a good opportunity. Maybe the possibilities. I chase the possibility. It doesn't have to be a sure thing. And you know what? That guy right now, in 2 days, is going to be in Florida at Art Basel, which is held only 4 times a year around the world. One of the times is 3 or 4 days in Basel, Switzerland, in Paris, in Tokyo, and in Miami. And he's going to the one in Miami because he's an artist. Mm-hmm. Next year, he has an arrangement where a piece of his art's actually going to the real live moon, like as part of one of the space things, right? Ooh. And so, him chasing the possibilities has brought him to that place. And so I love it. So that's the best answer I can give you right now. And in every video I do, I invite people, if you want to help me reach my 50 million, let me know, reach out, tell me what we can do together. If I can help you in some way, let me know. I got books, courses, conversation, programs, and stuff, tons of stuff that's free, because the only reason I breathe every day is to do that.
Well, I thought I'd share here with this, right? Like the journey to 50 million always starts with that first step. So I thought I'd show you, I can take a little walk in the Snoqualmie Forest here. And Kellan, so where does video fit in this 50 million, right? I'm just curious, or virtual or video, where does virtual or video fit into your 50 million?
All over the place every day. So every day I do a live. I also have now a television program that is going out on a new OTT network, which is already in 196 countries. And they are putting out my content as fast as I can produce it. And it's all encouraging, yes, you can lift up your heart content. I'm working on bringing in some advertisers, people that want to be advertised on that, and to share that journey in part. In fact, I have another interview today that is one of the episodes for that first season is called Creatives Save the World. So the first season of 10 episodes on this new network is called Creatives Save the World. And the guy that painted this painting, well, it's not him, but anyway, he's related to this piece behind me in a connected way. But anyway, so I do videos. I'm doing a television series of 10 episodes, and then I'm going to do 10 more and 10 more. And I have those season 2 and 3 already organized. Besides having tons of video in my products, I also teach. I help people learn to be on video, how to present, how to make love to the camera, how to be present. And so it's all over the place. First breath, last breath, every day is
Let's
where
talk
it
about
is.
that. So you've had training and give training on how to be present on things like virtual, because a lot of people always say like, oh, I feel disconnected from my audience, blah, blah, blah. I would love to hear, Kellan, what are like some of your top tips that you give to somebody to be present here on virtual or video?
So there's a practical piece. I'll do the first practical piece. The first practical piece is I'm on virtual with you, and I have structured it so that my camera is right in the middle. It blocks part of my screen because I'm not using a little camera. I'm using a DSLR so I can have good sharp features. And I've got John's beautiful face right by my camera. So I can look at the camera and be seeing John every second because that lets me feel connected to him. Okay, so that's one thing. Where you place your camera and what you look at allows you not to do this, where you're looking at them intently, but from the camera's perspective, you're somewhere else.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm looking at you. No, you're not. Now I'm looking at you. Okay, cool. So that's a really easy, practical thing. The next practical thing is worry about things like your lighting, your what camera you're using. And I realize you can spend too much money. So go within your budget and figure out what you really can do and not do. Okay, he's got an Elgato Stream Deck with a bunch of things that let him change scenes like that and drag stuff in from the background and bring in music. There he is, and he's using it. And you don't have to have 6 monitors. I don't. Okay. But he's 6 monitors and a laptop and probably 15 minions in the other room doing stuff. I don't know.
No
But
minion, I'm minion free. I'm minion free.
minion free. All right. Well, I don't know. I thought maybe, you hired some of those little yellow creatures that were coming in to be your minions for you. But anyway, so pay attention to the stuff. It can be your gear. It can be where you place it and everything. So that's some technical things. And there's all kinds of YouTube videos, and John's got resources, and, there are people that will tell you what good gear is. But more important than the gear, because a lot of people go buy gear and then they still suck. Okay. And the reason is because their heart's not in it.
Mm.
If I'm in video here with you today, this is not about me. I couldn't care less what you think of me. What I care about right here, right now on this live is that you feel cared about, you feel encouraged, you feel possibilities, and you have a little spark, a little bigger spark of yearning to do your thing. And if how I show up helps you do that, then my commitment is to show up the very best I can every minute, every breath. Why? Not because I'm cool. I couldn't care less about that, but because it might let you see what's possible for you. And so the most important thing is who you are. If I show up worried about me, worried about my voice and my face and my background, and am I saying cool things, or am I stumble over my words? And if I'm doing all that and I'm flipped out about that, I can't be present for you. And if I'm not present for you, you sense that and something's missing. So no matter what level your gear is, and no matter where you're at figuring out your lighting and your sound and everything else, rule number one that's in your complete control every single time you do it is be there for your audience. Be there for the people you're talking to, whether they're doing live like this or whether you're recording. Like, think about a single person and just talk to them and be there for them and with them. Right?
Yeah, Kellan, do you have a practice before you get on, or before? I know you just said you came from a coaching group. Do you have some form of like either ritual or practices that you do before you go on? I know that I do before I present in every large, medium to large presentation that I have.
I do, and it's different than you might think. So it's not a thing I do right before the show. What I do is I have a morning ritual that prepares me, because see, I only do one thing. So my morning ritual is the same every day. It's the same, right? And so my morning ritual is to remind myself of my goal. It is to remind myself who I am as a divine child of of God, created and brought here to love you and serve you. And that's all I'm trying to do today. And it's long, and it's, when I teach it, I start people at 40 minutes, 10 minutes on 4 different things, right? Because that's small and manageable. But now my morning rituals turned into this big thing, and I love it, and I play with it, and I wouldn't start my day without it any more than I'd run outside in the snow in -40 naked in the winter here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I just don't, because I wouldn't consider doing that. So that's what I do. If I add to that right before I get on a thing like a coaching call or this or any other thing, it's just to slow down for a minute and remember why I'm here. So who am I talking to? What will be the best thing that I can give them? What is the best that I can do? And the answer is almost always the same. I can love them. I can make them feel empowered. I can help them see some kind of possibility. And I can help them believe that whatever that crap is in their head that's in the way is only imaginary and can be dismissed at any time.
So Kellan, for you, you've also probably attended a lot of virtual over the past 2 years. I'm curious, for Kellan, what has to happen in a virtual meeting for it to feel engaging for you?
They have to do it like you do.
Aw, thank you.
And what I mean by that is, John, if you want to model, look at John's stuff. He knows something about people. He pays attention to where they are and what they're doing. He even looks up music sometimes. He does little things that help a person feel engaged. So this is not a mystery. If you're talking to someone, if someone's talking to you and you're in real life, you're in a room, and if you're standing with one-to-one, if they're checking their watch or looking at the phone or kind of looking past you, you don't feel acknowledged or engaged. And so you want to end that conversation. It's uncomfortable. You wonder if something's wrong with you, if you got snot in your nose or you didn't shave or whatever it is, right? And so it's uncomfortable, even if it's not that obvious.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if someone's paying attention to you, you feel it. All right. Now in a group and on video, that's different. It's a skill that you develop. So you have to position your window so you can see people. You have to make it as big as you can so you can keep track of their faces. You have to look at them. You have to acknowledge them, use their names, bring them into the conversation, just like you do in a real meeting. Hey, Jane. Hey, Bill, what do you think about that? And continue to bring them in a natural and easy way, because then, just like in a little group, in a party or at a networking meeting, they don't feel like they could slink off and no one would notice. So it's exactly the same. You love them. You actually care about them. When people want to be coaches or that, and they say, what's the most important thing to do? It's not selling or anything else. I tell them you have to develop your give a crap muscle. Okay, because when you learn to actually care about every one of these people that you're looking at, they're just as good, cool, and important as you are. It's really easy because you actually care what they think. And you want to ask them, so what do you think about that? Or what did you... et cetera, et cetera. So the way to do it in virtual is fix the technology so you can see everybody. You keep track of stuff so they can hear you good and you can hear them good. And that's all techno stuff. The heart-centered stuff is actually pay attention to everybody like you like to be paid attention to. So if you're when I'm in a meeting of any size and it's clear that the person is either frantic about keeping on the agenda or on their script, or they're just doing whatever and going through the motions, everybody on there knows that. On the other hand, when it just feels easy, like you're here having a convo, and it happens to be in a multi-room format, and everybody understands if there's 40 people on a screen or 50 or 100 or something, you can't call everybody's name. So nobody expects that. But you can do things to keep them engaged, engage them in the chat, and do weird things that are funny and, whatever. And you're not going to make everybody happy. And so the bigger the group, the more likely you're going to have people that are not engaged or not happy. But pay attention, actually care, and use the technology the best you can with whatever you've got to your advantage, and read John's book.
Thank you so much, Kellan. That real key about, I've told people, for even of course in the real world, for speech preparation, is that you write your whole speech out, like do a plan, and then before you get up on stage, like throw it all away. Because it's really true. Like, you can tell the difference between someone who's teleprompting or giving a delivered, like a memorized speech, versus speaking from their heart. And I think that speaking from your heart part, one is you don't have to be perfect. One is you just have to be effective. And I think that I think people forget this all the time, or they worry too much, or they worry about themselves, as opposed to, coming from this service mindset. So I don't know if you feel the same way. Like right now, like you don't. I think when you're coaching, and of course when you're presenting, you don't necessarily have a script or written words or things like that out, do you?
No, the most I ever do, especially if it's going to be a 60 or 90 minute, is if I use slides at all, they're 2 or 3 bullets, words a slide, and they're just to keep me through the flow that I think that I want to use, and I deviate however long I need to in order to make it work. But the goal, the prime directive is, are the listeners becoming served? Are they feeling loved, included, encouraged? Like my business plan for my business is on the wall, and it isn't charts and graphs talking about income. It says, I never look for clients. I look for people to love, opportunities to serve, and problems to solve. That's my business plan, and I mean it with all my heart. And you know what? I get clients anyway, because people that get treated like that, they want some more, and some more means we make a deal. Okay. And I don't care if they don't. Can I serve you right here, right now? And you can absolutely tell if someone, it's just about, who is this for? Am I thinking about me, or have I forgotten all about that? And am I thinking about the audience, whether it's 1 or 2 or 50 or 25,000?
So Kellen, in the last 2 years, I'm curious, what has been your most impactful program that was not yours? I'm just kind of curious to see, like, what speaker or what process or what group that you were with that really had an impact on you in the last 2 years.
The last, Steve Chandler, his mastermind. He doesn't, he's retired. Some people call him the godfather of coaching. He's written 40 books, and he wrote the foreword for one of mine, and I was in his mastermind for several years. And it was, not too pricey, but pretty pricey. But I got 20 times the value because I had so many clients from that mastermind. I'm still coaching some of them. And he's retired a few years ago. So Steve Chandler, and by extension, his coach, Steve Hardison, probably the biggest impact. And their model is service. Chandler wrote a book with Rich Litvin, who many people know the prosperous coach, and both Rich Litvin and Michael Neal and nearly every coach that is worth their salt has been through Chandler's mastermind, or has been to see Hardison in Mesa, Arizona, and has learned. It's not the homage to these people. It is learning that love and service are the key to success. I don't care if you're an executive in the aerospace industry. I don't care if you're making widgets for, puppies, or if you are anything. If you make a choice to live your life from love and service, you're going to have more fun, and you're going to be more resilient when bad things happen, and they will happen even if you're the most perfect person in the world, because crap happens, and you'll make good money. You can have all of that. So the idea that you can't have it all is a crock. And the whole podcast, Your Ultimate Life, is how to live a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy by serving with your gifts. Not someday out there, but today. Like the only day we ever have is today. And if I'm not having it today, when? So today.
What do you think? What factors for you make Steve Chandler a great coach for you?
Chandler is funny. He pays attention to people. He is got his own set of stories, as does Hardison. They're great because of their love. They're great because they actually care about people, and the money is secondary or tertiary or fourth. I had a client, based on their example, I had a client who was trying to wimp out on themselves. And I was really hassling them to stay true to their own investment in themselves. And then they were like, well, it's about the money. You want? And so I said, yeah, fine. Screw you. It's not about the money. Here's what you do with your last payment. We picked a charity for wounded animals in Ukraine. And I said, you donate that payment to them, because what's important is that you invest in yourself. I don't need your money. And so they melted all over the place. And of course they did it. And then they showed up differently because then they could no longer have a story that I needed anything. I don't need anything. And that mentality is exemplified by Steve, by his teachings, both Steve's, and their teaching. It's about helping the person understand who they really are.
Thank you, Kellan. Well, Nicole Smith, a good friend Nicole Smith, is actually watching us today. She says hello. Let's geez, well, Kellan, you're a futurist in some ways. You spend a lot of your time looking at strategy in the future. You know, what do you see in the next 3 to 5 years that's going to happen, especially here in virtual? I mean, the ability for you that you can start live streaming, like what this live stream already is in 24 different locations. And basically, I think everyone now has the power of a television station. Of course, people just have to realize how to use it. I'm just curious for you, what do you think are some of the things that need to happen or will happen in virtual over the next couple of years?
So technology is evolving faster than we know how to learn to use it. Speaking in general, the evolution, the ability to reach everybody on the planet is here or will be here soon. Okay, no, not everybody has the internet, but that'll be fixed soon enough. So the technology is already ahead of us. The ability for cameras to be better and greater bandwidth and perfect audio and have people pop in and out, and Elgato Stream Deck version 68.7 with magic, and you can speak commands and all things happen. That's all coming.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and so that and right now I do music. Okay, and if you want to look my name up on Spotify, I've got a playlist. I've got 82 songs up right now, and I've got another album that I'm working on right now, and I'm going to release three more songs in the next few days on an album titled Oasis, an EP titled Oasis, which is part of another book telling stories. And with that, Spotify, and you can reach everybody. I've got a distributor in Austria. I send this stuff to them and they get it on Amazon, Apple, and Spotify, and 47 other platforms all over the world. So our ability to get a message out is already growing faster than we are taking advantage of. So what I see in the next 3 to 5 is that will continue. The development of augmented reality and the ability to connect more personally and so forth. Just a few years ago, we did coaching calls on the phone, and then we had Google Hangouts, and then we had this, that, and the other, and now here we are on Zoom, and then you can use Restream, and you can use Riverside, which does local recordings. So you have higher quality raw files, and all these things are happening. The thing that's not developing as fast is our willingness to be human with each other. So technology is outpacing our needs. The real work is us in our hearts choosing to be human and vulnerable, letting the barriers, not of technology, but of thinking, how we view other people, the stories that we have about ourselves and others. That is the barrier that is most egregious in keeping us from reaching the world, from changing the world, from living together in peace, harmony, and singing Kumbaya and all that stuff. The thing that's in the way isn't technology or any development of that. The thing that's in the way is our lack of practice, in some cases unwillingness, in some cases lack of practice, to take the leap of faith, to work from love. When love becomes the engine, when it becomes the fiber optic of our communication, then the value that technology brings will be multiplied by infinity, effectively, and any limitations that technology still presents will evaporate in the context of sincerity, authenticity, and telling the truth.
I can't wait to introduce you to my friend Don Jones, who wrote a key white paper called Being Human in a Digital World. And it's a big study about the use of technology and company, both productivity and everything else around there, and how you got to have this human experience inside of all this digital, and that's really what will be most important. Kellan, one of the things that I've talked about is vulnerability. Part of what you're saying to be more human, I think we all have to be a little bit more vulnerable on our virtual or video-based meetings. I think if we want, usually I've seen leadership by vulnerability, meaning that sometimes we got to go there first if you want the other people to go there too. I'm curious about your thoughts around vulnerability on virtual.
I would say it isn't sometimes, always. The people that are in the group you're leading, whether it's 2 or 52 or 1,002, will follow your example. So for example, when I had my radical change in 2007 and walked away from the entire life that I'd built, which was, not fun, not good, made money and all that stuff, but wasn't good from a human standpoint. One of the things I had to do was decide how and when to become vulnerable. When I first wrote the book Tightrope of Depression, I wrote a book about myself, telling my own story of depression and addiction and all the failures that I had. When I wrote this, I waited a year to publish it because I was so scared about that vulnerability. I was so terrified. And sure enough, some people got mad. Some people said whatever they said. But the fact that I wrote it and told the truth, and it's not a book blaming others or anything like that. I'm not talking about bashing anyone, just talking about my own life and developmental experiences and how I walked through the world. I'm not a proponent of bashing things. So I did that. And by doing that, it has allowed me the freedom to tell the truth without fear. Like, I don't care what anybody digs up. They're going to find out I went to this or that secret rehab that was off the grid and prevented from people knowing because only these kind of people went there and all that stuff. Yeah, I did. And yeah, you know what else happened there? I used to have people sneak in drugs because I wasn't really there to improve. And I invented really weird ways to have them mail them to me and get past all the inspections. Yeah. Okay. So I can tell the truth. And I can also say in Shakespeare's line, "'Twas I, 'tis not I." And if a person chooses in their own heart to have a story about someone's inability to change, and you did this, so therefore forever you're whatever, I can't change that, and I love you anyway. And I'm really sad that you're limiting yourself with that story.
Yeah, I think when you share this story, right, is that you take away its power over you and you regain the power over it, saying that I own the story. I think it's kind of I also read Chris Matthews' Hardball, one of my favorite political books, which says if you have bad news, just get ahead of it so you can control the messaging. Otherwise, if people find it and you're still not set with it, then they're going to have all this, quote unquote power over you. Speaking of find it, check this out. I was able to find your top-rated song, "Eye of Fire." This is a dramatic song, Kellan. Where did the "Eye of Fire" come from?
Well, there was a time when I did a couple of albums of EDM, electronic dance music. I started with synthesizers back in the early 80s when they first came out, and I could see what was going to happen. So I got good at that. I used to do a lot of studio session work, programming drums and doing synth stuff. So
Wow.
In the beginning of the years, after 2007, my life started in 2007. So in 2008, 9, 10, 11, I did a bunch of music, several songs, EDM, electronic dance music, and that kind of stuff with sound design and everything. The songs that I do now, the albums that I do are pop style, meaning they have a message and they have lyrics and singing and stuff like that, because they're tied to some of the books. So I did an album music telling stories from Tightrope, and the ones that I'm releasing now are all those kind. But I did do a bunch, and I did an album of meditation music, and I did a couple of them, meditation stuff, and I did another album that was kind of the soundtrack to a space, kind of in a 2001 A Space Odyssey thing called Distant Shores, and it's a thematic thing of space odyssey and discovering aliens and all that sort of stuff. Anyway,
I'm assuming the middle of this song is like a dance song. Let me check. Oh, there we go. There's the middle of Eye of Fire. All right, we're almost out of time here. Amazing, Kellan. Let's do this. If people only remembered one thing from this interview, what's the one thing you want them to remember?
No matter who you are or where you've been or what you've been through, no matter how tough things have been or how difficult things seem right now, it's never too late. Never, never under any circumstances. And if I had time, I could tell you some stories to show you, but it's never too late to matter and to have big impact. It's never too late to matter. It's never too late to have big impact as and if you choose to live into your divine purpose. You are gifted, you are blessed. I don't care where you are, what you've been through, never too late to matter. And you can take control of that direction of your life right this minute.
Thank you, Kellan. And if people want to find you, where can they find you at?
Well, with a name like Kellan Fluckiger, it's kind of hard to hide. So I have my website, which was not difficult to get. I didn't have to pay any money for it, $2 or whatever. Who wants KellanFluckiger.com, right? My YouTube channel is called The Ultimate Life Formula, which is about leading the ultimate life. Podcast is Your Ultimate Life. It's on all the platforms. Amazon, all the books are under my name. Spotify, my name. You can find me as long as you spell my name right. Like, there is that, because Google is kind of persnickety about that. But it's funny. I Googled my name the other day when there were 20,400 results. Clear back. Well, I went clear back into my executive days and had my testimony before Congress and a bunch of stuff too.
Oh my gosh, Kellan. Well, and also if you didn't catch Kellan was on my conference. If you haven't gotten the replay, you can still get it. And Kellan talked about forgiveness. People woke up and they're like, whoa, I didn't know that we're going to be this deep today on this virtual. It was a fantastic session. Make sure and check that out. Kellan, thank you so much. We'll definitely see you next time. And I look forward to your reporting that you got your 50 million.
I will. And if anybody on this call wants to help, reach out, because I need all the help I can get. And I love you for being the kind of person who would want to help.
Thank you so much. KellanFluckiger.com. All right. Hey, this is John Chen. I'm out here walking in the forest. You have a great Cyber Monday and a holiday season for you. We hope that you stay safe and stay healthy. Hey, we'll see you next time.
Don't we start people and keep old people? Show your